Hey everybody, this is Perch, and this I want to talk about leadership for a minute because I mean this is kind of a you could call this a boring topic, but I think it's at the crux of a lot of things I see in a bunch of different companies, but certainly within comics. And we're in this strange place right now where there's a lot of uncertainty. The pandemic has certainly made things very confused, and comics were already facing a lot of uncertainty with is print going to continue, or is digital going to take over? What's going on? We've got a lot of different drivers all kind of conflicting with each other, and it's created typically speaking when companies or when people they get a lot of uncertainty all piled in them at once. The default state is paralysis. You kind of freeze up, you lock up. Your brain tells you, hey, I can't make sense of this world. I don't know what to do with all these different things that are coming my way. So the right thing to do would be hunker down, ride out the storm, then pick up the pieces and figure things out. A lot of people move to the I can't control what's happening around me, therefore I'm going to wait for somebody else to lead the way. And this is not a new phenomenon. This is pretty common. This happens when companies are acquired or where there's a financial issue or any kind of chaos occurs. There's different qualities of leadership that come out. The biggest being what I just talked about, this idea of just kind of like let's hunker down, batten down the hatches. Let's ride this one out. If you've ever worked for a company or in a business and you hear the leader say something like, "We're going to ride this one out," that's always kind of code for I don't really have a plan, so my plan is going to be just try and keep it as stable as possible and hope for the best. And that sounds bad, and it's not great. That's not a great management style. But there are worse things. One worse thing is the person who flails about dramatically. They let whatever is going on that day dictate um, dictate what happens. Like if that day they pick up a newspaper and they see that digital is gaining in popularity, then they scream at everybody in the office, "Quick, move everything to digital." And the next day, they pick up a golfing magazine and they hear that you need to brainstorm and have good connections with your team members. Then suddenly they're wanting to like we need to get morale going. It's like I always am amused, by the way, with companies or with industries, and Marvel's actually done this a couple times. People who've worked there have mentioned this, where there gets to be hey, everybody needs to get their act together and improve their morale. It's like okay, that always works. If somebody's unhappy or down or confused, a good approach is to scream at them to get them to wake up. That always works super. At any rate, at comics, you have this situation where there is a lot of uncertainty, and you have a couple default positions. Marvel often, in their past, has kind of sat back and let somebody else innovate and then done a quick copy. That's kind of the Disney way. That's the Marvel way to a large extent. DC is, they typically get a lot of miscommunication. You get a lot of kind of, you know, comments that are made, like I need an answer today, and then 6 months later you get that answer, that kind of stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if there's a confusion or people who don't know where to go, the smart, strong leader is the one that is decisive. And what's funny is there's a lot of hesitancy. Like what if you're decisive and you pick the wrong path? What if you say we're going to do this and you race toward it and turned out you were completely wrong in your estimation? You plunged your company right off a cliff. Well, it's actually interesting because the stats and the history shows that decisive leaders, people who actually plant a flag in the ground and go for it and say, you know what, I don't have all the information, but based on what I do have, this is what we're doing. Let's go. They tend to be more successful. Those people tend to win in the end. Oftentimes, not with their original idea. So there's something inherent in if you are a leader and you say, you know what, I'm making a decision. It's this decision. Let's go. There's something in that decisiveness that galvanizes people into paying more attention to what's going on and actually acting, leading with actions rather than that rather than being passive. And more often than not, what you see is that those actions change. Maybe a leader says, you know what, we're going to go for digital. Digital is the wave of the future. So start putting people on it. Go. This is a priority for us. Let's go. And then, but the action of making a choice, making that decision, is that if 2 months later it looks like digital was the wrong idea, the companies and the leaders that were decisive tend to be better at then recalibrating, changing their mind, and doing something new, as opposed to the wait and see person. And this sounds counterintuitive, like, hey, shouldn't you just kind of wait, get more data, and then act? Wouldn't that put you on better footing? What we see from a lot of history and examples is that no, actually, if you get into the habit of waiting, you always tend to wait. Your default position starts to turn toward inaction. That becomes just what you do. And we see a lot of that. You're seeing that a lot with comic companies right now. They're timid about making commitments on books, on titles, on characters, on creators, and they move very slow, or they do kind of this very half step. They'll do something like, let's try this out for a 5-issue series and see if it takes. And of course, it doesn't take, and it doesn't take because it's nobody takes that half step seriously, so they almost ensure their own defeat. Whereas the leader who says, you know what, we're gonna put this title out, we're gonna go for it, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna put our best foot forward and go. That decisiveness, that way of being, that way of leading, those people tend to more quickly recognize when they need to adjust and then adjust successfully. And their company, the people who are working for them, people who are following out these decisions, they also tend to do a better job of it because they seem to then be more ready to adapt and to change and to pivot. Yes, you're always going to have people in a company or in an institution who say things like, hey, you made this decision, now you're changing your mind. God, when are you going to make up your mind? And that sucks to, commit to one path and have to change. But in general, you have cultures of inactivity and you have cultures of activity. And comics desperately needs activity. If you look at the current leadership, right? Jim Lee, amazing artist, great creative person, completely invisible in this current moment. Nobody sees anything. And by the way, I'm not just talking from the fan perspective. A lot of people inside the company don't have very little engagement with Jim Lee. Where is Jim Lee at? I mean, he's doing something, but it's a very much a distant leader. You have Daniel Cherry, you have Marie Javins. You have a lot of people there who are, by and large MIA, certainly from the perception of the fans. But the more you hear from creators who are leaving or contracts have expired or what have you, they are also citing these people are just gone. Like, where are they? We never hear from them. We don't know what's going on. And before you say, oh, let's not beat up on DC too much. I mean, yeah, let's look at Marvel. Is Marvel much different? How much engagement does Joe Quesada have on a day-to-day basis? How much involvement does CB Cebulski have on a day-to-day basis? It's kind of a joke. People talk about, Cebulski and Quesada on Twitter spend more of their time talking about, drawing and drinking or, restaurants that they discovered. But internally, again, if you talk to people internally, you hear it's much quieter over at Marvel because per an earlier video, Marvel seems to button this stuff down a lot better. But you still hear a lot of, the leadership, by and large, seems to be waiting for us all to blow over, waiting until things get back to normal. And any leader who tells you they're waiting to get things back to normal is basically putting their fate, their future, the success of their company in the hands of, I don't know, not them. They're basically saying somebody else is going to fix this problem, and then I'm going to follow along behind. And to me, that's one of the big problems comics has right now. Is you have very strong interest in these characters, you have a lot of creativity, you have people increasingly just desperate for entertainment. You have a lot of signs of people, non-traditional comic book publishers, the Scholastics, the Random House, the Viz, and what's going on with manga and other places. You have a lot of evidence that those titles are doing great. The sales are up and people are interested. The number one thing you want to gauge is, do the customers want to buy this? Are they ready to take out their wallet, grab some money, and buy this thing you're selling? Is there customer engagement? And the answer is very, very firmly 100% yes. The customers are ready to spend money. They're excited. So what are we waiting for exactly? Why is the leadership so MIA? Why are they so quiet? Why isn't there somebody in comics who's making a ton of noise? The crazy part is that a small indie company, like the size of Mad Cave or Boom or AWA or somebody like that, if you had a really vocal leader, evangelist who is going out every single day and making a statement, like I'm doing this silly channel here with videos, and imagine if a leader was putting out a video a week, just saying, "Hey, here's what's going on in my company. This is what I'm doing. This is how we're attacking the market. This is what you can expect." They would double their size. They would double their audience overnight. This channel has 10,000 odd subs. It's not many. And I'm a nobody. These publishers are they have companies, they have products, they have things they could sell, they have insider information because they're the ones making it. Reaching out and engaging with those fans, don't let it be silent. And you could say, well, not everybody wants to make videos. You're right. But you could do a blog on your webpage, you could do press release, you could do anything. But you look at a lot of these companies and the news, their websites, there's nothing. It's silent. Like, that is leadership. Leadership is saying, hey, everybody, this is the direction we're going in. This is what we're going to do. This is the bet we're going to make, the decision we're going to go with. And let's go. Let's go win. Let's go attack. Are any of the leaders, the comic companies, making statements to their internally saying, come on, guys, let's go win? I doubt it. By the way, it's not a gendered comment. I'm saying guys. It's funny. You go overseas, and guys means people. It's not meant to be. What am I even talking about right now? Anyway, leadership. I think there's a big missing amount of leadership. There's very good people. Almost all people I've mentioned are extremely skilled in one area or another, and a lot of them are very nice people. Jim Lee is one of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet. I can't say a single negative word about an interaction I've had with Jim Lee. Wonderful guy. But who are the leaders? Who are the people who are out staking this ground, showing what this business can be like? Because we have a very, very weird situation in comics where tons of people are ready to spend cash. And the companies are largely very passive in going and taking it. Why is that? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Send me an email. Thanks for listening.